Testing. Hello. We're trying something new today. So hopefully, if you're live, you are hearing me and seeing the image on the screen, which is a jar of Arnica salve. Alrighty. I'm getting the information that we're good. So it's 9:30. Fingers crossed, people. I'm trying something new. And we are going to cut to scene 2. This is so exciting. So dumb. Okay. Good morning. Hi. Hopefully now you're seeing me instead of Arnica salve, which I don't know. Sean, is that working? Are we seeing me now? This is so crazy. Oh my gosh. It's working. It's magic. I did it. Hi, everybody. It's Wednesday morning, 9:30. This is episode 11 of the Soap Lady Chat. You might notice I have a little bit different background this morning because I'm sitting on a stool up at the prep table. Kind of still hurts a little bit. Thank you all. First, I want to start out. Thank you to everybody who reached out either on social media or text or email or came into the shop and wished me a speedy recovery. I really appreciate it. It means so much to me that you guys were thinking about me. And so myself and the soap dog are back in the shop today. I have a cane, but I'm pretty good. So I really I'm glad we kind of had this particular topic on the docket for today's Soap Lady Chat, because let me tell you what, this Arnica salve is magic. You're going to see some pictures, hopefully, in this live broadcast of the bruising and the swelling after my surgery. And I used this Arnica salve as soon as I was able to take my bandage off. I used this Arnica salve on the back of my thigh was a huge bruise, and I bruise and stay bruised. Like, it takes forever for me to have bruises go away. It doesn't even matter if they're small. They linger for weeks. And one of the number one things that this Arnica salve helps with is reducing bruising and reducing swelling. So 5 days after surgery, I was allowed to take my bandage off, and I could kind of see what was going on. And if you guys know anything about hip replacement surgery or orthopedic surgery in general, it's brutal. Janice calls it the death thrash metal music of surgery, which totally, when you're looking at big power equipment they're getting ready to operate on you with, it's a little daunting. So there's a lot of trauma that happens during a total hip replacement. So I was really bruised around my incision, down the side of my thigh, and around the back on my hamstring, where I had a lot of swelling too. The worst bruising was actually, surprisingly, the back of my hamstring. Red, purple. Now, a bruise like that, like I said, would normally stick around for me for probably 2 to 3 weeks. So before I start showing you graphic photos, we're going to move to the first little slide. Hopefully this works. We're going to talk about what Arnica is and how does it work. So Arnica montana is this yellow perennial flower. It is native to North and Central Europe, and it has been introduced and grows sparsely in the Northwest U.S. It is a mountain flower. It's a mountain plant. It likes kind of crappy soil, kind of damp, cooler climates, things like that. But it is a perennial, so it does come back year after year and spreads. It has been used in herbal medicine since about the 1500s, and it has been used for its analgesic and anti-inflammatory properties. Analgesic means it helps calm pain at the surface. Like, think icy hot is like an analgesic. You put it topically on and it helps calm the pain and soreness. So at the surface, topically. So an anti-inflammatory, obviously, inflamed sore muscles, things like that. It's going to help with that. Number one application, hands down, you cannot beat this for bruises. Getting rid of bruises, helping them fade and clear out much faster. That's probably its number one use topically. And it is a master at doing that. There is nothing that will clear a bruise up faster than this. It's also great for swelling. If you've sprained your ankle or your knee or something, osteoarthritis pain, great for that. My mother has been using it for her knees, shoulder, hands for several years and goes through, a good 3-ounce jar every few months. I mean, it really works. Muscle aches, I know that for a fact from physical therapy. It's really great when my muscles are a little sore and a little, stiff after I've done a physical therapy session, because it's weird how you have to learn to walk all over again. So that's the first ingredient in our salve is the arnica. The second ingredient we have in our salve is St. John's wort, which is also a perennial native to Eurasia and North Africa. Most people know St. John's wort to be good for treating symptoms of depression and things like that when taken internally. What we're using it for is a topical use, and it has great topical benefits as well. Again, it mimics the types of things that Arnica does. It just kind of adds another little component. It's an analgesic, an anti-inflammatory. St. John's wort can help with nerve pain, which is interesting because Arnica really doesn't help with nerve pain. So this will give a little bit of a mild relief from some nerve pain. Sore muscles and joints and sprains, that's what it's amazing at. So what I'm going to show you next is some photos of my leg. I tried to put little emojis over the incision in case anybody's kind of grossed out by that, but here we go. Ready? Don't judge. All right, so you should be seeing on the one side of your screen, it was 5 days after my surgery. I just took my bandage off. I've got about a 14-inch long incision starting just below my hip and going down the side of my hip into my thigh. So this was on kind of the back side of my hamstring. You can see in the one photo, sorry about the lighting, and the dog was sniffing me. You might see her nose in the back. That's Puma. That's not Della the soap dog. It's my other shepherd. So day 5, just took the bandage out, hadn't put any salve in at all. This is how bad the bruising was. This was probably the size, we're talking like a football size on the back of my thigh, maybe a little smaller, that was really mad and red and purple. I skipped days. I didn't take every single day. I took every other day. I took pictures. This is labeled wrong. It's not day 8. That was day 7 post-op. So 2 days later, just rubbing the Arnica salve in once or twice a day, if I remembered to do it at night. Look how much difference there is in that bruising. You still see a little bit of that reddish purple, but it is nowhere near as angry as before. If I hadn't been using Arnica salve, this wouldn't have happened. Trust me. So now we're going to go to next one. So these numbers are the days are a little off, but 2 days later it says day 10, but it was really like 9 and then 11. So day 5 using the Arnica salve, you can see a much bigger picture. You see how extensive that bruising is, but it's already getting a lot better. It's fading to that kind of yellowy color that it does right before it goes away. And then after 7 days of using the Arnica salve, this bruising is pretty much gone, as you can see. And I'll show you in the next slide this one. So that is day 1 and literally 7 days later. And like I said, I am one who bruises very easily and it sticks around. So I did this when I had carpal tunnel surgery as well. And it really, really helped. So I'm going to come back on camera here, but hopefully you guys can actually see despite the lighting issues. Hopefully you could really get a good idea of how extensive that bruising was and how quickly it went away. I do have photos from when I had my carpal tunnel surgery, but it was like 7 days or more before I could take the bandage off, and my hand and wrist were just mangled. 2 days of Arnica salve, it was gone. And it also helped break up, you get a lot of stiffness in carpal tunnel surgery right through here at first that you have to work out. And I would rub that into my wrist and, do my little stretchy exercises from the carpal tunnel. So anyway, back to this. So you saw the pictures of what Arnica looks like when it's growing wild. This is what it looks like when it's dried. We use the whole flower. When it's dried, we do have to source this. It does not grow well here. And then we also have our St. John's wort, that pretty flower. This is kind of the whole thing. This is flowers, stems, leaves, the whole enchilada. So we take those 2 dry herbs and we put them in oil, our olive oil, because that's the base liquid oil for this particular salve. And this liquid oil will infuse for at least 30 days. Then we also take and we put shea butter in a big pot. We get it, we just melt it down, get it liquid. We put the herbs, the dry herbs, in the shea butter as well, because we use olive oil and shea that are both infused with these herbs to make this salve. We like shea butter better than coconut oil. It just doesn't feel as greasy. It feels like it just feels a little better on the skin. Coconut oil can have a really greasy, oily, slick feel. So we decided not to use that in this particular in this salve, either one of the salves we make. So we infuse the liquid oil that way. The shea butter, we do it on a burner. We very low heat. Once we get the shea butter melted, we keep it just hot enough to keep the shea butter liquid, and we let it infuse for a couple of hours, and then we will strain off the solids, and then we've got our infused shea butter, which we pour in containers and use. And then we mix those things together with beeswax. And the last ingredient we put in our Arnica salve is wintergreen essential oil. So wintergreen essential oil is also a topical analgesic. Again, think icy hot. Anything minty, peppermint, wintergreen, all those things, that's what's going to feel really nice to kind of calm muscles and calm soreness down at the surface until the salve has a chance to penetrate. And trust me, after a long day at the farmer's market and standing on my feet before my surgery, I would hurt at the end of the day. My knees would hurt, my hip would hurt, my back would hurt. Just rub this stuff in, and 5-7 minutes later, I was like, oh, I'm not sore anymore. It was just kind of interesting how quickly it can work, and it's natural. That's the beauty of it. We are using plants that have grown everywhere and are there and have these great properties, and we're taking advantage of it. So we have these salves in 2 sizes. There is the jar. We've just switched to some new packaging. This is a wheat straw plastic jar, which is fun. We're getting away from the actual plastics. I think this is the only thing really that we have that's even packaged really in plastic. But we found these wheat straw jars, a lot more eco-friendly. That's one. These retail right now for $12. And then we also have our tin, which if you're not going through a lot of this at a time, the tin usually, it's going to last you as long as you need it. My mother buys the jars. I have the jars at home because I use this stuff every day. Those are the 2 options we have in that salve. And like I showed you in the photos, it works. And we've had people use it for sunburn. We've had people use it on minor scrapes and burns. You don't ever want to put any type of herbal salve on an open wound. And when I say open wound, I mean like cut open, like you might need stitches to close it. You want to make sure the skin is closed. You don't want to put anything like that on an open wound because some herbs absorb directly into your bloodstream may not be great. They're not going to break that blood barrier if they're applied topically, but I wouldn't ingest things without being prescribed them, if you will, by an herbal medicine person, by an herbalist, somebody who has gone to school and has all the degrees to do that. So we just tell everybody, just make sure you're not using this on an open wound. Scrapes, abrasions, things where the skin isn't really broken per se, or even scabbed over, it's good for. And again, like sunburn, things like that. We have been told by people that they've used it for that, and it works beautifully. And that's actually one of the things St. John's Wort's really good at, is sunburn pain relief. So anyhow, I hope you learned a little bit of something. I think next time what we're going to talk about is the other salve we make, which is the comfrey and calendula. Those herbs we actually do grow ourselves. Comfrey is so easy, and calendula is just a self-seeding annual, and it grows pretty much anywhere. So we are able to grow those here. But hopefully you have used our Arnica salve or our comfrey and calendula salve, and you've had a great experience with them as well. If you have, drop me something in the comments. Let me know, how you've used it, how it's worked for you. And we'll see you again in 2 weeks when Janice is back from vacation, and we'll be doing our Soap Lady Live in 2 weeks. You all take care, and we're going to close out with this screen while I figure out how to turn this all off.